Ant-Man fans, this is the dark truth behind Ant-Man, and I think it could and should be a full-blown Ant-Man multiverse sequel. The real Ant-Man, Hank Pym, whose dark highlight reel is summarized as domestic violence and alcoholism due to heavy depression, which resulted in creating and fusing with Ultron. Yeah, there's a reason they didn't go with Hank Pym as Ant-Man in the movies. His comic history is too dark for a mainstream protagonist, and that's mostly because Hank Pym is too smart for his own good. See, in the comics, Hank is the genius, not Tony Stark. And while Tony has an ego, Hank's ego is out of control. Dude literally calls himself the supreme scientist, and like all of Marvel's genius lab scientists, had an accident where he drops some chemicals, which turns him into an anti-hero who decides to alternate his name and costume between Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket. Which, girl, I get that. Wearing the same costume day in and day out, exhausting. Now that his mind is chemically warped, Hank decides it would be a good time to create a super AI modeled after his brain patterns, aka Ultron. Yes, in the comics, Ant-Man creates Ultron, not Tony. Of course, Ultron ends up believing that humanity is ruining the planet. I wonder how he got that idea. And decides that the Terminator is his role model now. So he goes all hasta la vista boom boom on millions, and that spirals Ant-Man Hank into a depression, which causes him to abuse his wife, Janet Van Dyne. That leads him to getting kicked out of the Avengers, and because creating robots has been going pretty well for him so far, he decides to create one more that attacks the Avengers, but has a safety fail only Hank knows, so that they will take him back when he defeats it. His wife is opposed to the idea and catches another beating from the out-of-control Ant-Man. But when she dies at the hands of an obese villain that eats her, I'm not kidding, that really happened in the comics, Ant-Man Hank has enough compassion to grow in size and eat the head of the obese villain. It's kind of a romantic poetic justice in a way, but it's safe to say that Ant-Man Hank has lost his way at this point. So when he hooks up with his dead wife's alternate universe sister, whom he also experiments on to give her superpowers, no one was really surprised anymore. This all results in Hank eventually contemplating taking his own life, along with a goodbye letter and all, but instead he fuses with Ultron to become Pymtron, because that name strikes fear in people's hearts. And that kind of sealed Pym's eternal flirt with the dark side. And am I twisted when I say I want this on the big screen? Make it happen. Multiverse that alternative Hank Ant-Man into our timeline. Come on. This deserves more than a what if Marvel. Come on, let's do this.